What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the show, I sat down with an amazing woman who had a career as a real estate agent. She now has spent over a decade helping realtors and people in all types of business learn how to use PR, so get in the traditional media, as well as coming up with unique marketing strategies to make them stand out. Welcome to the show, Christina Daves. All right, welcome to the show today, Christina. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you on, especially after having you come down to Florida for our event where you were one of several speakers we had. So that was a good time. And I think we actually have that coming out as a podcast too. So if you're
good.
If you haven't seen that yet, Christina actually speaking of it, make sure you go back and look for that episode as well.
Yeah, and that event is awesome. I want everyone to know who's watching. I think it's the third time I've spoken, and it is just every time I go, you bring in some great topics, great speakers, great people. Love your HyperFast Agent event.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to the next one already. So we've actually started planning that. So hopefully more details and a little bit more predictability this year in planning it. But for people who maybe haven't heard of you or what you do, why don't you give a brief explanation before we jump into the show today?
Sure, yeah. So 10 years ago, I invented a product. Long story short, it was medical boot fashions, right? So I thought, oh, this is great. It's fabulous. Well, nobody in the world knew it existed. And I didn't have any money for PR or advertising. So I basically became my own PR person and got really good at it really fast. And in my first year of business, I was in over 50 media outlets. And to date, I've been in over 1 million. Not 1 million, I'm sorry. With my clients, we have over 1 billion views and over 100 million in sales. I personally have been in over 1,000 media outlets. But I really call myself a PR strategist now because I'm really good at looking at a bigger picture of how you can land in the media. Like, what's a story that the media will bite on today? Not these evergreen generic stories, but how can we get them to say yes right now?
What do you think is the biggest thing that your basic real estate agent out there, maybe they're starting out, maybe they've got some experience, but they don't have a huge team. Like, what are basic strategies for them to do to go out and get into the media?
And they can. One of my favorite stories is several years ago, I had an agent who came to one of my trainings. He ended up hiring me. He had had his license for 2 weeks. But he had come from corporate. He'd come from Bed Bath & Beyond. He was a store manager, and he was really good at Facebook ads. So he figured out how to get really good at Facebook ads for selling homes, and he pitched that to the Washington Post. Nobody knew he was a brand new agent. They just knew he was really good. He had a track record on with digital, and that's what he pitched. And it was so specific that the Washington Post actually had him write the article. He got the byline, which really never happens, but they didn't have anyone who could tell the story like he could on how he sells homes using Facebook ads. So he gets that. Within the first 6 weeks, he had $5 million plus listings. He became a luxury agent immediately out of the gate. He sold 24 million his first year, 48 million his second year. I actually just talked to him over the weekend. He has like 18 people on his team now. He is just crushing it. So if you are a new agent, I want you to be inspired by Dustin and think about what you bring with you from your past. And never say you're a new agent, ever, ever. Say you are newly affiliated with. It's like just a little spin that you can put on that.
Just a little tweak of
It's, yeah.
Of how you present yourself.
Exactly. Because you bring something with you. I say that, the stay-at-home moms who spent, 15 years at home, 18 years at home with their kids, maybe you ran the swim team, maybe you ran the booster club, you volunteered, you did something. You bring so much with you. If you were in corporate America, I had a newly affiliated agent who had come from the government and had done government contracts for 30 years. Well, wouldn't you want that person to be negotiating your real estate contract? They've been looking at billion-dollar contracts for 30 years. So take what you did before and use that in your marketing and use that in how you sell yourself, because you need a differentiator.
Yeah, I love that concept, because I think so many agents can only think of, well, gee, I don't have this experience yet, or I'm not at that level, and they don't tap into what they do have, and we all have something to offer, some unique experience. Even if you're 18 and starting out, like you did something in high school, or you were on some team or some activity, or had some job. Like there's something you bring to the table that is unique, and you just need to tap into that and present that to the public in a way that will make them see the value that you can bring to the transaction.
And Dan, you just said something that's so important. People want to work with like-minded people. So yeah, you're 18 years old. Well, if you were, you played in the school band, you were in the school play, you were a football player, let people know that. Like-minded people want to work with like-minded people. So the best thing you can do is put out there the things you love. If you're a marathon runner, if you're divorced, if you love dogs, if you love cats, let people get to know a part of you through your social media, through the things that you put out there, because you're going to attract those people. And I've worked with thousands of real estate agents, and I get it. You all can work with anybody. But when you start to niche that down and really hone in on, I want you to think about who's your ideal client. Who is your most favorite person that you ever worked with? And that's who I want you to target your marketing around. That's who I want you to get your publicity around. Like, where are those people? What are they watching? What are they reading? That's where you want to be, because you want your job to be fun.
So are you helping agents with all around marketing, or the PR piece, or integrating the PR with like traditional marketing? And
yes, so it started, it really started with the PR piece. When I first met you all, I was just focused on PR. COVID changed everything. What I found was people started coming to me, they had to cut through the noise. And PR is a great way to do that, but they say it's 7 seconds when someone lands on your website. I've heard as little as 3 seconds now. So I really expanded to kind of the whole visibility picture of messaging. And I'm sorry, agents, but we call it, most real estate agents have a decidedly average website. You're usually using the one that was given to you by Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, RE/MAX. It's that, how much is my home worth?
Right.
Nobody's using those. You really want to show your gift. What's in it for them by working with you? And that messaging is so important. That split second when they land, if it's your website, your LinkedIn profile, your Instagram profile, they need to know who you work with. And I had one client who had the most gorgeous website you've seen, and it was all like multi-million-dollar homes. You guys were in Virginia, Great Falls, Virginia, like gorgeous kitchens. But as we started working together, he works with first-time home buyers. I said, you can't have that on your website. You're killing them.
Yeah, it's going to intimidate them.
Right. You've got to put that beautiful condo or that beautiful townhouse, something that's affordable for first-time home buyers. And even that's messaging that people don't think about. So yes, I work all around with visibility. How do you cut through the noise on social media? How do you create videos that people watch? How do you connect with influencers? And it's not Kim Kardashian or Beyonce, because none of us are going to connect with them. Some of the people who have graced your stages are not going to retweet us, but they're what we call mid-level marketers that you can connect with. And we work with you on that. Who are those people that you can provide value to, that they're willing to share you to their audience?
Who are some examples of like the mid-level, or maybe you call them like geographic influencers, or micro influencers that could help a real estate agent out? Like, who should they be searching for help with?
Yeah, look who's out there. Maybe there's a title company that you love to work with, or a mortgage company, and see what they're doing on social media. If they've got a lot of LinkedIn following, a lot of people following their company page, and then you start showing them the love. Say how you use them, tag them. Always tag the people that you work with. But yeah, lenders, maybe you did a referral to another state, and that's an agent that's has a bigger following than you. Those are the kind of people, if you're here, you just want to be here. You don't need to be here. This is going to be hard to attain, but finding those people who are active on social media, have a good engaged following of your ideal clients.
Hey, hold that thought. Do you want to get 100 tips for free from my best-selling real estate book, The Hyperlocal, HyperFast Real Estate Agent? If you do, go to hyperfasttips.com and you can download 100 of my best tips today. Again, that's hyperfasttips.com. You can download 100 tips on how to grow your business, get more clients, deliver more value to more people. Go to hyperfasttips.com.
What do you think are mistakes that real estate agents make when it comes to social media, or and it can be things they're doing, or it can be things they should be doing that they're not doing?
Yeah. Number one thing that everybody should be doing right now is storytelling. You've got to tell stories. You've got to let people know you. And I go through this with my clients all the time. I'm going through their social media posts. Don't just tell me you have a listing. Don't just tell me you sold this house. Tell me something about it. Give me some wow factor. Let me think about, tell a story of something that happened in that house. Or I love the imagine if statements. Imagine, your whole family's here and you're pulling your turkey out of this Viking oven. You want people to feel when they see things. The other big problem is agents just make it about them. I can do this. I'll sell your house. I'll do this. I'll sell your house for the most money fast. Everybody's saying that. You really need to relate to those people that you want to work with. What is it that you bring to the table? What is your gift that makes you special, that's going to make them want to work with you? Because real estate agents are a dime a dozen. What was the number? I used it when I spoke, and I can't remember. How many real estate agents in the U.S.? 2 million?
I think there's almost 2 million, like 1.5 to 2 million.
2 million. And then when we did the transactions last year, there's basically 3 real estate agents for every home sold.
Right. The active inventory is even less. So there's
more exactly
right now that it's like every 5 real estate agents for every 1 listing or something like that. Crazy.
Right. So you've got to stand out, and you've got to take the time to make yourself stand out, because we're in scroll nation. People are just zipping through their phones. We want them to stop and pay attention to you.
Yeah, I mean that it's staggering to just realize how many agents there are for every home for sale or every trans. The other thing I think you brought up that was interesting was the telling the story. Yeah. I remember in business school they taught us to have like a whole kind of inventory of when you're going in for interviews. They called them stars. I think it was situation, threat, action, result. Right. So what was the situation? What was the threat or the problem? What was the action you took? And then what kind of results did it bring? And I think if you sold the house or helped a buyer find one, I think you have to kind of look at a framework like that almost to convey that, to convey to your, the market, right? Like, was that home listed for 100 days before with no offers and you came in and fixed it?
Yes.
Or, was the buyer worn out from losing out on tons of offers and you found a way to, get them the next house or something like that? So,
tell the story. I'm doing some work with my kids' orthodontist, and I'm looking at the stuff that they were posting, and that's exactly what I said. Tell me the story. Tell me the story about this woman who said, I'm middle-aged and why did she want her teeth fixed? Why did she want Invisalign? Did it help her career? Like, what's the story? What's the backstory? You've got to tell people that. That's what people are relating to now. Because right now, everybody's doing copy paste marketing, and it's not personalized. You really need to get personal with who your ideal buyers and sellers are.
Yeah, and I think the copy paste, I mean, it doesn't really work that well on most platforms. I think a year ago, maybe it kind of worked on TikTok. They called TikTok the copycat platform, but
right.
TikTok's actually switched up their algorithms lately, and there's still all the trending sounds and whatnot, but you kind of have to have more original content even on that platform, which wasn't known for that even like a year ago, to actually get traction.
Right. Yeah, it's all about standing out and being different. And the problem is a lot of real estate agents are cookie cutter. You go to a company and they kind of have all these things in place for you. And I talk about this. I was a real estate agent for 25 years. When I started way back when in the 90s, I was an agent for Coldwell Banker. Nobody cared who I was. That's what it was back then. Now you are your brand. This is all about you. Now it would be Christina Daves, and there'd be a little thing down here that said I'm with Coldwell Banker. It's now you and your brand. So it's really important for real estate agents to establish, what is your brand? Who do you work with? How do you make people feel? Like this all encompassing. It's not just a real estate business anymore. You really need to be your own brand.
At what point do you think that shifted? Because I would venture to say most home buyers and sellers don't even know who the broker is that you're with. Like they know, you, Christina, or Agent Johnny, or whoever it is. They don't know the name behind that your license is hung with in most cases.
And you asked that, it's interesting. I know for what I'm doing, I would say in the last 5 years, I've really worked with agents on that. But when did the company become, I don't want to say less important, but less visible? Because it used to be back in the day, you had to have, like, your business card was their logo, and then you were just this person that was part of that. And it really, really has changed. I've worked with some really big agents, and I'm digging through their stuff. I'm like, I know you have to have a broker in here somewhere. Like, where is that?
Right.
I mean, they're avoiding it at all costs. It's buried. It's where, legally it's there somewhere, but it's not at all like it used to be. So again, why it's so important to figure out who your ideal client is. Who do you love working with? What do you love to do? Who can you connect with? And really start to build your brand around those kinds of things.
What do you think are the best ways to get their attention when you only have 7 seconds? Like, how do you do that?
Yep, it's got to be what's their pain. So a first-time home buyer thinks, I don't have money to buy a house, so grabbing attention. You don't need money down to buy your first house. You don't need perfect credit to buy your first house. Ask me how. Something that's just going to grab attention. Want your, looking for luxury real estate without all the taxes. What are the things that your sellers and buyers are feeling? What is their pain? And how do you solve it in that split second? And that's where messaging comes in. And that's where really understanding who your avatar is, who your ideal client is. And again, I know you're realtors, you can buy and sell to everybody. I tell this story all the time, Dan, you've heard it several times, but it's just really goes to this point. Jackie Youngblood is a real estate agent in Tampa, Florida. And she started out just like everybody did. She sold a couple houses. Well, Tampa has the most nudist communities of anywhere in the United States, and she happened to live in one of those. True story. You guys can Google this. This is real. And she said, wait a minute, I've got this captive audience right here. She dubbed herself the Naked Realtor, totally shifted her marketing efforts to her communities that she's a part of. This is her lifestyle. She understands the people coming and going from there. And she's one of the biggest teams in the state of Florida now. It's like an 8-figure team. And at one point, she had a reality show. So don't be afraid to niche and find who that ideal person is that you want to work with. You'll blow up your business.
No, usually the smaller the niche, and I think agents struggle with this, it's a little counterintuitive, but the smaller it is, the more cohesive of a message you communicate. So I think the better shot you have of actually getting more market share and then therefore doing more business. But it's counterintuitive, I think, for some people.
Hey, hold that thought for a minute. Do you want to take your real estate business to the next level? If you do, there's no reason to go it alone. Learn from people who've been where you want to go. Carrie and I have sold billions of dollars in real estate. We've netted over 7 figures for 7 years in a row now, and we want to see if you would be a good fit to work for us. We don't work with a lot of people, but we want to give you a chance to get on a free strategy call to see if we can help you get your business to the next level. Go to hyperfastcoach.com and apply for your discovery session today. Again, that's hyperfastcoach.com.
It is. I worked with an agent years ago, and this is kind of when ebooks and stuff were just starting to come about. And she wanted to work with women going through a divorce. And she had written a lot of ebooks on it, put them out online, and people were like, oh, well, you know, why would you niche down like that? Well, at that time, and it's even more now, 50% of all marriages are ending in divorce. A lot of marriages were, you know, a woman was home with the kids and the husband comes home and is like, I'm out. And can you imagine these women are Googling, you know, my husband's leaving me, selling my house, or going through a divorce, selling my house. And Susan came up time and time again because she had the Google juice in that area, the IP. I don't know enough about SEO, but all I know is if you put that search in, she came up and she crushed it. Absolutely crushed it by doing just that little. She put that content out there, very relatable to the woman going through a divorce. And usually it was these sudden divorces. So they're panicked. They don't know what to do. Most of the time the women didn't have jobs still, and young kids. And she came in. They're not a knight in shining armor. They're princess in shining armor. But she came in and picked up the pieces.
It's obviously not a pleasant topic,
no.
But if you think about it, those are probably your most motivated home buyers and sellers, you know, more so even than a move-up buyer, because or a move-down buyer, like something terrible has happened. They need to get out of it, and like they're, you know, if they come to you and trust that you can help, it's
right. And you've put out that content that shows. I worked with another agent who was one of the few, I think she's one of 100 women auctioneers in the country. So she worked with kind of more luxury home sellers when they were downsizing. And the value add she brought is she could auction off all your stuff. You know, she would do these big auctions, big estate sales for them. So find that. What is that thing that makes you different from every other agent? And we all have it. We all have a story to tell. We've all had our own experiences. People ask me all the time, like, how can you work with this many real estate agents? I'm like, because everyone is different. Every one of you is different. Even in the same area, you're different. You have a different story. You're going to attract a different person. And it's pulling that out and putting that together in your messaging and your PR that you're attracting those people.
What about now with the market we're in, low inventory, homes sell quickly, usually above asking price? I think in February in DC, the DC area, the average sold to list price was like 99.8 or something. So it was like, you know, probably all but like the homes that were overpriced were selling above 100%.
Right.
How would you advise agents that, you know, want to get listings in this market? Like how do they stand out when a lot of sellers may think it doesn't really matter, all I have to do is get it in the MLS and it's going to be gone?
Get press. People love to work with the famous agent. When you can show them, oh, here I was on TV, here I was in the Wall Street Journal, here I was in the local ABC Times, they love the famous agent. That's why this is such a huge differentiator. It's just so important. And even I have lots of resources where you can get national media. You don't even have to get local. It's even better look-wise. If you're quoted in the New York Times or USA Today, they're like, oh, wow, well, my agent is so and so. It really, it's that whole perception. And I have so many clients who've done that and used that to their advantage, and they win the listings.
Yeah, what are some of the ways that you actually help real estate agents get press or learn how to get press?
Yeah, so we have an event. It's actually a coaching program / event that we do called Get PR Famous, which is so fun. It's down in Dallas. It's either 2 days or 3 days, 4 months or 6 months. And it's this all encompassing that I've been talking about. So we do the messaging, we do the brand, feel, and voice. We really help you put together who you are and how to get that out there. And then when we go to Dallas, it's 2 days of implementing. We call it a get shit done event. My husband's like, you shouldn't say that. I'm like, no, because the people who come want to get shit done. Like, we get it done. The second day, we actually pitch the media. So we had a real estate agent in Philadelphia who hit send and within an hour had heard back from the journalist in Philadelphia, and she had an interview the next week. So it works. Oh, wow. It's amazing. And then day 3, if you want to upgrade and do the VIP experience, we actually take you into a television studio. You get professional hair and makeup. Our makeup artist has actually done Oprah. She's a big celebrity one. We have a fashion stylist that dresses you for exactly who your ideal clients are. And then we take you in studio and we do this, we prep you ahead of time, and you get this incredible marketing piece that hits those pain points like we talked about and really helps you attract your ideal client that you can use on your website and all of your marketing. So we do this whole process of putting you together and really getting who you are out there to the world, so you're just attracting those people.
And how do people learn about this? Or
yeah, getprfamous.com. And I always joke, if you can't find me, if you put Christina Daves in and you can't find me, then I'm not doing my job. I'm in big trouble. So I'm very easy to find.
What about, I think you mentioned before the show too that you're rolling out a new app soon? Or
yes. Super excited. So getprfamousapp.com. And I've partnered, it's a woman that I do the Get PR Famous event with. Her platform is called Speak From Your Power, which is great. We have a lot of real estate agents who come through that too. How do you read body language when you're at a listing presentation? How do you know if they're balking and thinking of not using you? It's pretty cool stuff. So we have an app together with all kinds of resources related to PR, presentation, messaging. It's pretty cool. It's super easy to use. So getprfamousapp.com. Make sure you register, and then you'll get notifications when, like this, we would notify you all that this interview came out, and hey, realtors, here's a great podcast interview that you should be watching. So it's got really good stuff in there. A lot of great bonuses and extras in the back end.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, I always like to end with a HyperFast round if you're ready for some rapid fire questions and answers.
All right, let's go.
All right. What's your biggest piece of advice to a new real estate agent in today's market?
Just do it. Start pitching the media.
What's a mistake that you see experienced agents making?
They make it about them. It's all about them, their numbers there. You need to shift that and take your numbers and what you're doing and make it a value add to the person you're trying, to the listings and buyers and sellers.
What's the biggest thing that you're teaching people to do in their business right now that maybe wasn't on your radar or didn't even exist like a year ago?
Messaging, 100% messaging. People do not, it's so noisy out there. You've got to be able to cut through instantly.
What's the biggest thing you do outside of business or real estate for fun?
For fun? I'm a huge Virginia Tech Hokie fan, and I know this is airing in a couple weeks, but we just got back from the ACC championship game. Woohoo! And I love hockey.
They won that, right?
They won. First time in school history. And I married a Hokie, and both my kids are Hokies, and we were all there together, so it was really fun. But I love college sports, and I love the NHL.
All right, last one. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Wow. So I'm doing a lot of hosting and things on TV. That's really what I love. So that's kind of on my vision board, what kind of a business type show, like where can I really provide value to a lot of people on a bigger platform.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Christina, for joining us. And
Thank you.
it's been awesome having you at our events, as we mentioned before. If people want to connect with you, I know they should just Google your name.
Yeah,
and,
ChristinaDaves.com. That's the easiest.
Okay, ChristinaDaves.com.
Yeah.
All right, well, check that out. And definitely, if you are listening to this show or watching it on YouTube, check out that 2 or 3 day event that Christina has. I know it can radically change your business.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Christina, for being on the show. And to all of our listeners and viewers out there, thanks for tuning in again. And please leave us some feedback, some comments. We will answer them and share this with people that you think would benefit from seeing it as well. We'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure and go to hyperfastagent.com to learn about upcoming in-person and online events. And don't forget to share this show with someone that you think could benefit from hearing it, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube or anywhere that you can find podcasts.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos.